my sight shall reach past the ruthless dunes. A solitary raven as my soulmate, whose intentions towards me I allow myself to doubt.
As everyone here is by their own.
Small, unfortunate seeds champion against an unwilling, stormy climate where venomous predators luxuriate. I, therefore, brace myself.
As I
I've been on many traveling caravans with experienced and spirited folks. We kept our eyes vigilant, for danger prays each turn.
I can't afford to let them down.
I am now one in this vast wasteland. My leather boots burn my weary feet. Meditating my next crucial move, disdaining the liquid salt on my eyebrows.
My intentions would prevail.
Everybody.
What's up? It's Rooster Grooves. I'm Jessy Quigley.
I'm Jay Purcell. Here again.
That means it's Rooster Grooves.
Another rainy night in Seattle.
Another dark winter rainy night in Seattle.
We're going to start out every episode talking about the weather.
Yeah, it's always the same, so you know what's coming.
Exactly. It was nice and sunny yesterday, though.
It was beautiful.
You can see it on my last episode of The Drop.
Check that out. The Drop is bomb.
The sun was streaming into the studio here. It was nice. I like those vibes.
Yeah, we should start recording in the daytime maybe one day.
Yeah, get some natural light. Well, daylight saving time is happening now, but it's
when is that? I never know when that is anymore.
It's soon. It's like in the next week or two. But this is a future episode, so this is probably coming out in the heat of summer.
Oh yeah,
or something like that.
So yeah, see you guys at the beach.
Yeah.
Listening to some Men I Trust. Hopefully there's men you trust at the beach.
Hopefully. Or just people.
Most of them.
Do you trust?
We're talking about Men I Trust, the band.
The band, Men I Trust. Yeah, this week.
Yeah, great stuff. I was excited to talk about these guys. Three-piece band from Canada.
Montreal, right? The French part of Canada.
Yeah. And so these guys are, and when I was watching interviews and stuff, they speak English, but they also, I think they're, French Canadian. I think they all speak French, or they at least have accents.
Yeah, the two guys have more of an accent than the singer.
Mm-hmm. I think she does too, though.
Yeah, she does a little bit. It's a little bit of a fainter accent, I feel like. But
so, like we said, three-piece. The singer is Emma Proulx. Emmanuelle, is that?
Yeah, Emmanuelle.
Her full name is Emmanuelle. Sometimes she goes by Emma, I think, and then her last name is Proulx.
Well, yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Seems like it might be a silent X.
Prowl?
At the end. Prowl.
Or even just or something like that?
Proulx.
Proulx.
Yeah.
Somebody tell us how to say that.
Yeah.
And she joined the band in 2016, and the band was started by Jessy, Caron, and Dragos, Chiriac.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm pronouncing those correctly.
Yeah.
To give those guys proper respect.
Yeah.
Because they've been at it for a while doing super cool stuff. And so this is like a indie dream pop, kind of bedroom pop.
Bedroom pop again. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been using the word bedroom a lot. It means something to me. I hope it means something to other people. But you can, indie pop, dream pop, electro pop.
Yeah.
Maybe a little chill wave, but they're groovy. They're funky, in a very chill way.
Yeah.
And so they released a couple albums. They had like 2 albums, and then my favorite, which is what made me really excited about this group, was their 3rd full-length LP, Uncle Jazz. I think it's pronounced Uncle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like uncle, but with an O.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. Hopefully we're pronouncing this right. But this is a great record. And I was just super pumped. It's super smooth. It's like low-key funky, and it's groovy, but it's super chill and light and kind of ethereal.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just hits really hard for me. Pretty like kind of introspective vibes. I don't know if you're like an extrovert and you want like music that's turned up a little bit more, like more energy right off the cuff, then maybe that's not what you're wanting to listen to with these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, as kind of an introvert kind of guy, it's just like beautiful music to be introspective to and to just chill to.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your thoughts off the cuff?
Yeah, well, I got that. I listened to Uncle first. It's a really long album, actually. Like, was it 24 tracks or something?
Yeah,
crazy like
70
that?
minutes.
Yeah, and it's same thing. It's warm, cozy vibe, soft, it's jazzy.
Jazzy,
lo-fi. Definitely like a very cohesive, warm sound through every track, kind of thing. And I have that kind of French vibe from it as well. I don't know whether that is intentional from them or because they come from that French speaking part of Canada, Montreal, Quebec,
right?
But it reminded me a lot of like Serge Gainsbourg, who was like a really big French artist in the 60s. Also a little bit of Air
nice
vibes in there.
Yeah.
I think they even have a track called Air somewhere, but I don't know if
possibly inspired by.
I'm not sure if it's related. I don't think it is related to them because we'll talk about that a bit later, how they like to write music and stuff. And,
for sure.
Yeah.
But they're possibly inspired by some other French artists, I'm sure. There's some kind of connection there. I don't know how it is for people born in Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know what that culture is really. Interesting.
Well, they each had some very interesting influences growing up, I think.
Yeah. Give me some.
So let me see. Who should we? Well, okay, let's talk about Emmanuelle, the singer.
Yeah, sure.
She joined like a couple of years after they started initially, right?
Yeah, I think she joined in 2016.
Yeah, and she like had a lot of just pop music happening in her household all the time. She likes a lot of Whitney Houston. Any Whitney Houston is what she said. And I think in the later days now, she likes to listen to a lot of Lana Del Rey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
ABBA was a group that all of them mentioned actually as a big influence, which you can kind of see maybe a little bit in that latest album, Uncle.
For sure.
And then you have Drago. Was it Dragos or Dragos?
Dragos with an S. Dragos.
Yeah. He seems to have come from more of a classical background, playing piano and listening to a lot of old classical music.
Right.
And then Jessy, like his first purchase of music was No Effects, so he was like into some like hardcore kind of punk thing. So it's very interesting. You got the pop, the classical, and the harder stuff, and those influences all mesh within them and come together to help them create the music that they create.
Yeah. Totally. That's one of the cool things about this group, Men I Trust, we're talking about, because they have a wide range of influences, nice and well-rounded, and I think they truly like, different styles of music, and they want to all incorporate it. And one of the things they do when they're writing and creating with each other is kind of doing it in isolation. So the guy has an idea, and they'll pass it to the other two, and they'll kind of work on their parts, come up with stuff on their own in their own house or wherever they're at.
Yeah.
And add what they feel like the song deserves.
Yeah.
And then they kind of bring all these ideas and kind of reshape it to something that feels like Men I Trust.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's my favorite way of creating stuff, is kind of like, okay, let me have this and be in isolation, and I'll listen to it a bunch, and then, come up with my parts that I think are really good and meant for this kind of track.
Yeah.
And then it seems to work out. So it works out for these guys very well.
Complementing each other by sort of finishing off or continuing an idea that someone else came up with, kind of thing. Like,
Exactly. And taking it that extra mile, taking it that extra step to add each other's influences, which make it a real nice, well-rounded song. Like I said, on Uncle Jazz, it's a little groovy, it's indie, but it's funky. Yeah. Great bass lines.
Oh, yeah. A lot of great bass lines.
Yeah.
That's what I think it reminded me a lot of Air and Serge Gainsbourg more than anything. Was how the bass lines flowed and how they sounded sonically, the way it was recorded, sort of thing.
Super. I mean, and I'm always a fan of bass players named Jessy.
There you go.
Who does funky, groovy stuff.
Jessy with a Y.
But it is Jessy with a Y. I don't know how I feel about that.
Jessy with a Y?
I knew another Jessy with a Y from high school.
Yeah? It's an unusual spelling.
He played music too. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I'm down with Jessy with the E. That's how I spell my name. But
not short for anything. Jessy with a Y.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, but if somebody knows anything about the word Jessy or the name Jessy, let us know. Yeah. We're always looking for feedback, and we're just here to learn along with everybody else.
Exactly.
On Roots to Grooves. So yeah, Dragos, Emma, and Jessy.
Yeah.
Sick bass lines off Jessy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what we're talking about, but I think we should play another track, because the track we played was cool.
That was off of the first album we played, by the way. Self-titled, Men I Trust, came out in 2014.
Right.
And that track was called Dazed. Actually didn't feature him. This was before Emmanuelle joined, so
the woman lead singer, right?
Yeah, so on that album they had a lot of guest vocalists on different tracks. That one featured Joffrey and Gabrielle. Don't know who they are, unfortunately, but they're dope though.
Yeah, it sounds good. Before we get in,
actually, sorry, I completely messed that up. The first track we played was called Ecstatic Memoirs, and it featured an artist called James. Sorry, guys.
Jay, we're mixing everybody up here.
I know, yeah.
Well, before we get into anything else off that first album, let's play a track off of Uncle Jazz.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think that'll give everybody a solid idea of where I'm coming from, at least where my heart is with this group.
Okay.
We should play the track called Show Me How. I think it's really hot for them right now, and I think this album has kind of pushed them over the limit of people are talking about them and everything. Yeah. And this is the song that I discovered them by.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And so it's I'm pretty close to it, and I think the listeners would get a kick out of it.
Let's do it. Let's catch these vibes.
Yeah, check it out.
Show me how
Wow.
Off Uncle Jazz.
That was a sweet track.
2019. So that's their latest LP. That's how I discovered them. Isn't that chill? That definitely has some Air vibes.
Yeah, definitely. I love, what you're saying about the bass.
How melodic it is.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that. It's like used melodically.
But still groovy. Like that. I love it. How it's acting as the rhythm and the kind of the beat. You know, they're doing the rhythm section thing with the bass and the drums.
Yeah.
But the bass is so melodic.
Yeah.
And not to dismiss the drums because it's very tasteful and exactly what the song needs.
Yeah.
But I'm a bass player and I can't get over that bass, that tone, how you just hear it on the fretboard. Yeah. And it sounds so intimate and melodic.
Play with the pick, it sounds like a little bit to get that sort of a little bit muted.
Yeah. Totally.
That was pure, like, that's what Serge Gainsbourg used to do a lot as well.
Okay.
Like, and that kind of, I don't know, I call it French bass.
The French bass. I'm into the French bass.
I don't know. I have a Hofner bass guitar.
Yeah.
Get a little bit nerdy for a second. And the reason I got that is because I was researching bass guitars. I wanted to get a bass guitar. Didn't know what to get. It basically came down to two. And I was also kind of like listening to Air a lot and thinking, what are they using? And it came down to the Hofner, which is what they use a lot. What obviously Paul McCartney and the Beatles used. Yeah. And the French, the Fender Precision Jazz Bass, P bass as they call it, is the other one, which is like used a lot kind of thing. And I went with the Hofner because it's way cheaper for now as a beginner. I'm not like a pro bass player or anything like that.
I would have thought that was more expensive because it seems like more of a older instrument or a classical look, and maybe that novelty makes it more expensive, but maybe not.
Also, to get even more in the details for our nerdy music.
Let's go.
I think there is two types of Hofner basses out there. There's the violin-shaped bass, which is what Paul McCartney used.
That's what I'm familiar with.
I think that's pretty much like a lot of like Air and Serge Gainsbourg and all those people use that version. And they've been made since the 60s. I think those ones are really expensive. But they make another one which is like has a slightly different body. But it's got that same like great sound to it.
That same tone.
And it's just like it's completely reliable. Even like the one I got was like $500 or something like that. It's like completely that reliable sort of sound, especially if you pick it and like mute it and stuff like that. You can get those vibes.
I love that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So much nuance that you can do on the bass.
Exactly, yeah.
But
it's a very specific sound, because I think like that and the Fender P bass, like if you're gonna make this type of music, I think with those ones will get you what you need. If one can't get you one sound, the other one definitely will. And then there's so many other types of basses out there, but like out of the artists that I listen to and inspire me and stuff like that, those seem to be the jazzy, funky ones, kind of thing.
That's where I gravitate as well. Yeah, is because I played your Hofner before. And it's fun and it's light, and you get those. I love hearing the fretboard. I want to hear my fingers on the fretboard. Coming out of whatever. Output it's coming out of, whatever speakers. And then I also like the Fender Jazz Precision bass. That's
that's the
creme de la creme.
My brother has one of those, and but they're expensive. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But they're great as well. Like, I think that's like one of the famous Air tracks. Another bass led song. I think off their first album, Moon Safari. It's like really like.
I think that's the one I'm familiar with.
Yeah, that was a P bass, I think.
Okay. So, I discovered Air when I was working at a restaurant.
Oh, yeah?
And, I was busting tables.
Yeah,
and
track came on.
Yeah, track came on. I was like, this is chill. This is dope.
Yeah. They're really good.
Get in the corner, Shazam.
Yeah. They're.
I'll be right there.
They're great guys.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about them more.
Yeah.
But here we are on Roots to Grooves talking about Men I Trust.
So should we rewind a little bit?
Yeah, so let's back up. A little back to the history, because I'm sorry, let me get their names. Jessy and Dragos met in high school.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where they started their partnership and their musical journey.
Were they actually making music at that point? Because it seems like they just met and knew each other, but they weren't making music together at that point.
I'm
I don't know.
Vaguely generalizing where that partnership started. I don't know. I don't think they had I'm not sure exactly what was going on.
Yeah. Because I think I saw some stuff that they both went to study at Université Laval. Ooh, got my accent.
That was pretty good.
In Quebec City, and then after they graduated or left there, is when they officially formed and got together, kind of thing. And they were initially inspired mostly by electronic music. It was like the early 2000s, right? Like,
as far as I know.
Yeah, and you can really hear that on their first album. Doesn't really sound anything like Encore.
Right.
Like, I think Encore was like a new direction, maybe.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Emmanuelle or Emma brought to the table.
Yeah.
And I feel like, that's why I'm so interested in that album, because she got onto the band.
Yeah.
And I feel like they kind of found themselves and came into themselves.
Yeah.
With that 2019 release.
Yeah. So those two guys were making music together. They did the first album. A lot of featured other singers on there.
And I think there's a couple songs that are just instrumental.
Yeah.
But all of the features all of the vocals are featured.
Yeah.
People not associated directly in the band.
Yeah. And then they said they found Emmanuelle because she had some Facebook video of her singing or something like that. And that's where they first knew of her and heard her singing. And then they asked her, I think, to feature initially on a couple of songs on their next album. And then eventually led to them saying, do you want to join full time?
Yeah.
And like,
I think they were vibing.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, like a story of those three albums. You know, the first one being like kind of electronic heavy, and then with featured vocalists. The second one sort of getting a bit more organic sounding. I think with Emmanuelle on not every track, but they still had some features. And then this third one being really like, it's like a progression. You can see it in those albums to like where they are now, kind of thing. Like,
you can kind of see them if you listen to those in order. You can kind of see them find their sound.
Yeah.
And I feel like they finally found that with Uncle Jazz. But I don't want to get ahead. We're still in the past. I keep gravitating towards that album though, because that's kind of what my main interest is, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think so they were working.
Yeah.
These guys wanted to make music, so they did.
Yeah.
I mean, just jumped straight to the second album.
Yeah, it is called Headroom. 2015 that came out.
So same kind of thing, like you said, they're kind of going more organic.
Yeah.
Still don't have a main vocalist, but Emmanuelle's on there on the song Curious Fish, the sixth track on there. And then there's she's on 2. She's also on Out in Myself. And then there's several other vocalists and a few other instrumental tracks. And that's a solid album. It's good.
Yeah, the one thing that apparently they said about it was that they felt that the sound of it was too clear and pristine, and that it dehumanized many aspects of the project.
Yeah, it did sound a little more produced.
Yeah, because they're trying to move more to that organic sound kind of thing, and that's kind of their feeling on that a little bit. But we don't have any of those tracks lined up in our pre-prepared playlist from the album.
We didn't. Yeah,
I feel like we need
Forget
to.
it.
Was there? I mean, did you weren't so keen on that then, or like,
there's nothing particular on there.
Yeah.
I'm straight up not as familiar with the first 2 albums, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I do actually. I have one.
Should we give it a spin for posterity's sake?
Yeah. So we actually haven't played like much of their electronic stuff from their first album. I don't know if we want to do that a little bit first or not, or should we just skip ahead to?
Let's just skip ahead.
Okay.
Let's just skip ahead, okay? If everyone's okay with that.
Okay, yeah. All right, this track's called Morse Code. It doesn't feature Emmanuelle, but it's featured singers. This is the one I mentioned earlier, I think. Yeah. Morse code.
It's funky, man.
Yeah, that was a. I know you kind of like the disco-y sort of stuff. Right?
I do like to do some disco. Disco is not dead.
Disco's not dead.
I do tend to. I love that funk.
Yeah.
I love the groove. I like all things though, you know, because then I'm down to put my bass on my shoulders and just get a pick and go da 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 da, like punky style.
Oh yeah.
Just driving it.
Yeah.
That's cool too.
Yeah.
So and I try to be well rounded.
Yeah.
And incorporate all the different things that you can incorporate.
For sure.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Mixing the genres up. But I mean, that song's great.
Yeah,
I get another good bass line.
Yeah. Like different sound again though, like than that other track we played. Bass sound wise, like
totally. Yeah. Great. I guess real quick.
Yeah.
So I mean that was off their second album.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna just like loop back around because I was gonna say this earlier, but didn't get a chance. I forgot. So we're talking about Men I Trust. They were thinking of band names.
Yeah.
And one of the names was the word that they liked was trust.
Yeah.
And so they were, you know, I think another band was maybe named Trust or something like that.
Yeah,
or
it's already taken by someone.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they found Men I Trust, and I guess men in that phrase is referring to mankind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, not particular men,
right?
But kind of men in general.
Yeah.
As a whole, humanity.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was thinking about that, but it's an interesting thing to think about what that phrase means. In that context.
Yeah, and I think it's like I think Emmanuelle said this like later for like the lyrically kind of thing. It's like they're trying to be honest in everything that they do,
right?
And you know, and it says it in their name. But yeah, also that's kind of where they're trying to come from as well, like sentiment-wise sort of thing.
Yeah, honesty is a good theme. That's awesome that you said that. Yeah. One of the notes I have is that they're always trying to focus on creating songs that convey a sense of storytelling with strong melodies.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their thesis for what their perspective's coming from for trying to accomplish what they're making.
Yeah, and they said as well that they're never trying to, like, lyrically what they're talking about, they're not trying to fabricate stories. They're usually trying to write from personal experiences.
Right, real world experience with people they know or things that they actually feel.
Yeah, so they've actually had songs that they've named after friends and stuff like that. There's this one track called Pierre, where it's apparently about some weird situation that all the band members noticed with some guy kind of thing. I don't know the details.
Not a man that they trusted.
I think like he was a friend, and he just got a bit weird, maybe like drunk, and you know, sexual advances in some weird way. I don't know.
Well, I didn't read that story.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know if it's that, but the guy that was reviewing the track he knew about that story, he said, well, there's definitely, he doesn't know the full story either, but there's definitely some like sexual undertones to the song. And the lyrics, so.
Okay. But, well, I mean, that's one of the things that I found was what they, I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought on there.
Nah, I'm the one to do that. I usually lose my train of thought.
I'm just trying to make you feel better and make stuff up over here to make us seem even and everything.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me go on because I got it again.
Got it.
But I was watching some interviews and stuff, and they would not want to answer some questions, or they'd be like dancing around, or maybe some say beating behind the bush.
Yeah.
If you've heard that phrase, I don't know if that's
beating around the bush.
Oh, not beating behind the bush. That makes way more sense. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Beating off behind.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. What podcast are we on? Are we on the other podcast right now? The secret one?
The other ones? Yeah. For Patreon subscribers?
Yeah. Yeah. Paid. Rooster Groove's on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But they would be like not willing to talk about some of the personal things that their songs are talking about, or the stories that helped produce the songs.
Yeah.
Just out of respect for the realness of the real people and the real emotions and stuff, and they wouldn't kind of let the interviewer, in on this, inside information, which is respectable. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing I heard them say about that as well is that they don't really want to explain what their songs are about. And they want people to explore it themselves. So they apparently they turn down interviews all the time, and because they don't want to talk too deeply about the meaning of the songs or anything like that. They want to keep that kind of precious and secret, but to allow the listener to sort of
to kind of maintain that integrity of a new release, and allowing the listener to be able to perceive that new thing that they're hearing in a fresh way. Not give away all the secrets about production and what the song's about and who it's written about. And I think that's super cool. I just think that's dope. Keeping a little bit of mystery behind it, especially after the release, and people are asking you. I know their latest LP, Uncle Jazz, 2019, took a long time, and I think they canceled the release multiple times because they felt that they wanted to keep working on it. And it needed a couple touch-ups here and there or whatever. And so I'm just saying they have a lot of integrity, and they really want to make a release that is valid to people, and it's fresh and it's novel upon the release date.
I think for Uncle Jazz they literally cancelled it the day before it was supposed to come out.
Soon?
Yeah, like it was literally being uploaded to the streaming platforms.
Cancelled.
And they were like, they cancelled it because it wasn't right, and they wanted to rework and remix some things. Kind of thing. And I think also as they were working on that, they were touring a lot, and they said it was just something about that the headspace as well of touring. That just kind of, there's a lot going on in your head with different things and stuff like that. And, I guess they didn't feel that they were completely relaxed or giving the work its best kind of thing.
Right.
Like maybe is a way to put it. They didn't say that themselves, but that's kind of what I get from what they're saying.
That's what I get too.
Like they needed the energy and the time to actually, let's just take a time out and
not rush it.
We don't need to rush it.
There's no point. There's no rush. There's no deadline other than the deadline that you give yourself. And even that, can be nixed for whatever reason. But anyway, they have great integrity and perseverance. Because that's hard to do. When you're that close and it's been mixed, it's been mastered, it's uploaded. It's happening tonight. And they're like, cancel. We're going to take another month.
And they have the ability to do this as well, because there's something else we should talk about as well, is they are completely independent.
That's huge. I can't believe we didn't say that at the beginning. They're completely independent, no record label. No management.
No PR, no one. They're doing all of it themselves. I
think their website, their official website is like a Tumblr page.
I think so,
they
maintain themselves,
So obviously Rooster Grooves is all about the DIY. And, the underground culture. How are these people doing this? And these people are just doing it themselves. However they got to get it done. They're not relying on on massive amounts of money to get pushed.
Yeah.
Most of everybody who knows about them is from word of mouth.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, it's like true. I was going to say True Grit. That's a movie, but like
like grassroots.
Yeah, grafting. True hard work kind of thing. Which is rare to do in the music industry because I know a lot of people that are artists that just want to focus on the music, and they either suck at everything else or they don't want to put in the same amount of effort and work into everything else.
Yeah.
Versus making the music, which is fair. I mean, I feel like, and it's rare because it's rare to be good at a lot of different things. Like, you're either someone who's good at one specific thing, or you're kind of like an all-rounder that is kind of
jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, I've heard that a lot. And I want to take out the master of none in that equation because I feel like that's a little bit. I don't know. What do you think?
I was just gonna say because I think that's like the common phrase, and people stop talking at that point. They're like master of none. That's the phrase. Yeah. But I think there's another part to that. I'm gonna try to look it up because that's not the full quote.
Oh, the true original quote of
right, and it gives
that came from
and it gives it more meaning in a different context.
Interesting.
Kill 5 seconds for me.
Okay, yeah. So they're completely independent, and they also sort of, I want to say, between these albums, and when Emmanuelle joined, instead of releasing a new album, they did like 12 consecutive singles, and they were just focused on putting these singles out instead of an album. And I think it took them over the course of a year or 2 years to put out all those singles. And they
released like 12 singles over 2016 to 2018 or something.
Yeah, and their goal behind that is because they wanted to build the following kind of thing, and they wanted to build anticipation for the album. Because the album would have some of these singles, but also a lot of brand new material kind of thing. So,
well, I pulled up the quote real quick. So the full quote is jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of none. Or I'm sorry, a master of one.
Yeah.
So jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Oftentimes better than a master of one, yeah.
So and that's by Meet Victor Visek. Don't know if I'm pronouncing any. I don't know if I'm speaking English at this point.
Who was that? I want to know who that is.
Yeah, sounds interesting. But apparently that's where the quote comes from, and that kind of gives a different spin. It's not just the end. Oh, master of none.
Yeah.
Saying that you should just be a master of one, and that's the ultimate power and fulfillment that you'll achieve in your life. But like oftentimes better than master of one.
Yeah,
is very poignant for our current music industry world.
And also, the times of now, I think, because, I mean, my perspective is I mean, for me personally, like, whenever I first really got the internet and started finding out stuff kind of thing, in, like, early 2000s, I was like, this is it. Like, I can do anything I want to do now.
Right.
Because it's like, if I want to build a desk, I'll look it up. I can teach myself how to build it. If I want to build a speaker, I can do that kind of thing. And it's, especially now in this day and age, like, and with the technology and all that, I think it's real easy to do all of the things that would have cost a lot of money in the past to do, like even just making and producing a record and making a music video, or making a video in general kind of thing. Like, all of that stuff is just like being completely democratized. The tools are on our hands now. So I feel like that kind of notion about being a jack of all trades, I think it's kind of a necessity, like, especially with the way the music industry sort of tanked financially. And it's like, if you're going to be a brand new artist out in the world, like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to make your music and hope you get signed?
Yeah, like, just sit in your room and don't tell anybody about it. Don't do social media. Don't make your own videos.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to put yourself out there yourself, and then you have to think creatively about that. Like, you know,
Right.
you have to be like, how you know, what kind of photos am I going to do? What kind of videos am I going to do? Kind of thing, you know. And I mean, think, you know, yeah.
No, yeah. Speaking of which, because we're here talking about Men I Trust, and they produce their own videos.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, for example, and like we said, they're completely DIY, no management.
Yeah.
No label or anything like that. So they're doing the music, which is high quality. It sounds very good. It's well produced.
Yeah.
And
that's
I don't know
where it all starts, really. Like that's where it starts, right? It's making good quality music. And,
yeah. And then in today's world, if you're going to be a musician who's not specifically trying to get signed to a label or whatever, it's more important to be a jack of all trades at this point. Like you got to make quality music and production, but you got to push social media. You got to make your own music video. You got to do this and that. And you got to be your own manager and stuff like this. So
Good, go out on tour and stuff like that. And
so you're the liaison to your own self, your own project.
Yeah, and I think it's the best position to be in because the less, like, you know, there isn't much money in the music industry anyway. So the less pieces of the pie you can give away to other people and do yourself.
Yeah, right.
Even the better. You can reinvest it in making your next album or whatever and stuff like that. And
you retain complete creative control.
Yeah.
That's obviously a value for artists more and more today.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, beautiful. So these guys are killing it with the DIY. They're doing it all themselves out of Canada.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess, we could talk about how they make their music, because I think most of the time they did it on isolation. So they're in different towns outside of Montreal.
They have like one communal house though, right, where they sometimes live at and have their studio at, but they still live separately in different places, kind of thing.
Yeah, I was wondering, does any one of them live there full time, or they all have three separate houses, but then there's one separate house, a fourth house that they all meet up at?
I don't know for sure.
I didn't catch that.
I feel like at least one of the guys, it might be like Dragos' place or something like that.
Right. I'm sure it's under one of their names. I don't know if they split the lease or something.
Exactly,
I didn't get this deep into their research.
Who's on the lease?
Yeah.
You should go look that up at the Quebec property database.
Whatever it is. I don't know.
But he did say about that, like, because I don't know where it is exactly, but it's like somewhere, it's like 2 hours away from Montreal or something like that. It's like this quiet place. It's like obviously really cold in the winter and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's a small town. I didn't get the town name. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like a town of 1,000 or less people.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and I think they have like a chimney stack in the side of the studio, and I think that's kind of, they said, was an inspiration for the warm, cozy sound of Oncle Jazz. Was because it was like cold and wintry outside, but it was warm and cozy in the studio.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like, yeah.
I think they totally encapsulated that feeling.
I think so, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Of like, being bundled up and cozy and warm in a nice little, abode, but with, harsh winter coldness on the outside.
Yeah.
Literally keeping warm with a fireplace.
Yeah.
In their studio, essentially.
Yeah. And so, they also said, because it's a small place and there isn't much around, but there is a lot of greenery around there, and they said basically there wasn't anything else to do when you left the studio for a break other than to just walk around and think about music.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, they work in isolation, but even when they're as a team, it's still kind of isolated.
Yeah.
And they're not in a big city. They don't have a bunch of distractions.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can see what they're able to produce with that kind of set and setting.
Yeah.
And I think they've been super successful doing that.
Definitely, yeah.
I guess it's time to talk about Oncle Jazz officially.
Yeah, let's move on.
Because we keep talking about it through everything else we've talked about through this podcast so far.
It is the one.
It is the one.
I think it is the one that really resets them and is their statement on when, like, everything we've done till now has been great, but this is like what we've been aiming for, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think this is what they've been wanting.
Yeah.
Emmanuelle joined the band in 2016, and they kind of found their sound, released a bunch of singles. I feel like it's their story was all leading up to this album, this beast of an album, which we said is 70 minutes. It's like 24 tracks. So it's a monster, almost to a detriment, where it's almost a little bit too long, possibly for me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
That's a very long album.
Well, I think we're like used to short albums, but I'm trying to think now, even like older albums. How long was like some of the classic albums? Were they like an hour long or something like that?
I mean, like Beatles' White Album was a double album. They did it.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
But it is different because this is not a double album. I'm not sure what the differentiating factor is.
I mean, back in those days, I think it was like 4 vinyls. It was a double album. Or 2. I don't know.
We don't have this much vinyl. Yeah. So I mean, they delayed this album up multiple times because they wanted to keep working on it.
Yeah.
I think it was Chiriac's house.
Okay. Yeah.
That's Drogon. What is his name?
Yeah, Dragos.
Dragos. Yeah.
By the way, dear Wikipedia, you have his name spelled wrong. They said it was Dragon.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and I was like, I first saw it and I was like, his name's Dragon? That's kind of cool.
It's kind of dope.
Yeah, but I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of weird. And then they got it wrong. Wikipedia's wrong.
So Roots to Grooves should go in and edit that.
We should go edit that.
That'll be our responsibility. We're responsible for this stuff. Okay. We're going to take a message break here. And I'm just kidding.
Get your references.
So one of the instruments that they use heavily on this album is the Yamaha DX7 synthesizer.
Yeah, saw that. Yeah.
So I think that helped them really kind of lock in their sound.
Which is a weird, like, it's kind of an 80s sound, right? And I don't really, they're not using it in an 80s way, which is great. They're sort of...
Well, yeah, so that specific synthesizer, Yamaha DX7, was famously used by Brian Eno. Mm-hmm. I just discovered him last year, and I was going through his stuff, and it's super great, super chill, kind of electronic-y, kind of drony soundscape. Yeah. Not very poppy.
No, yeah.
Super cool stuff. I would check out Brian Eno. Yeah. And then Aha used it in the hit single Take On Me.
Yeah, crazy.
So that same exact synth, and that's, I wouldn't have put that together listening to Aha's Take On Me and any of Men I Trust's albums and be like, oh, that's the same synth. I know it. Exactly. I heard it. Like, it doesn't sound the same. They're not using it in quite the same way, maybe.
No, yeah.
But there you go.
I don't even remember the synth in Take On Me. Take On Me.
Yeah, like... I know that.
Oh, is that it?
I don't know if that's the one. That's the only melody I can think of synthy on that.
It must be. I mean, I think that's the
unless
only
it's a more background kind of pad.
It's like a drone. Like,
yeah. So maybe. And then I think it was also more recently used in Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
Throwback ballad Versace on the Floor.
Sure, I haven't heard that, but
it's a good jam.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't listen to a lot of Bruno Mars. I do respect him because he seems very, very talented. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Singing,
great.
Dancing, music making.
Yeah, he's well rounded. He could do it all. I respect him. I don't put on his music very often.
I think the reason I respect him because I saw a clip of him as a kid on like a TV show doing like a talent thing or something like that.
Okay.
And he was doing, I think he was doing like an Elvis impersonation or a Michael Jackson impersonation or something like that. He was just like, psh. Like, I think like 8 years old or however old he was. But,
I think he did it the old-fashioned way, just kind of like I don't know if he was discovered on YouTube or something, but I think he was like in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Doing kind of a Justin Bieber thing, like playing on the streets.
Yeah.
Making stuff up until he got a kind of a following and got some notoriety and stuff like that, and just kind of built him up. Pulled himself up by the bootstraps.
There you go. Yeah.
Or so.
Now he's a coke fiend. So yeah, I'm just checking.
Is that true? I haven't. What's the latest on Bruno? Okay.
I don't think he is. He looks like he might be one, but hey, that's very judgmental. Shut up.
Yeah. Hey, we're not here to judge. Do whatever you got to do, guys.
Exactly.
But so yeah, Uncle Jazz. I love this album. It's super chill. It's groovy. It's jazzy. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of subtleties, but it's mainly about the minimalist kind of dynamic. It's really chill. It's smooth. It's got a nice aesthetic. It's like chill funk. Yeah. Because it's groovy and kind of funky, but it's not like hard hitting groovy funky. You know what I mean?
It's definitely chill French pop. There's a couple of tracks on there that are sort of acoustic guitar led. Yeah. I was almost going to say it was maybe only one track. Feature at least I think there's one track that features I think there's one
acoustic guitar specifically.
One called Pine and the track Pierre that we mentioned earlier that was one about one of their friends, I think. Are the two sort of tracks that use acoustic guitars. One of them might feature it more heavily than the other, but yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, it's just like nice. It's a weird. I think pop has like created its own genre now at this point, because a lot of times when you think about pop, you think about Britney Spears, Christina, like pop music, like all the boy bands and stuff like that. But then when you use it in this context, it's kind of like, maybe you're sort of thinking more about like vintage pop, like
yeah, it sounds a little vintage
French pop or something like that.
Totally,
like, you know.
And then it's not a hugely dynamic album, but I think there's a track called Furo GT, which is basically like,
it's like a heavy
it's
interlude
like,
or something like that.
Yeah, it's like an instrumental interlude, and it's like a White Snake instrumental with like, guitar, like like screaming guitar.
Yeah. When I first someone wrote about it, I was expecting it to be heavier than it was, but it still fits with their vibe. But it's like a soft, a soft, dirgy, like 70s rock.
Yeah, it doesn't sound. Listen to this album; it's the 13th track. Yeah. So we're deep into this album,
and that's just like over just halfway through or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like literally right at the halfway point. So I don't know if that makes the marker between like side one, side A, side B. Maybe that's what they were going for.
Yeah,
as a kind of transitional piece.
Yeah.
But just saying that they do have a little bit of dynamics on this album, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's a completely super wide range dynamic album, because they keep it pretty steady, somewhat one dimensional.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that too much in a bad way, because all these songs hit a nice mark.
Yeah, no, it's very, I mean, it's extremely cohesive. I mean, it's just like if you want that warm vibe and you love it in one track, well, now you got 70 minutes of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you vibe with this, you'll vibe with this whole album.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is where they have the track called Air.
Yeah.
Which is track 19.
Like I said, they usually only like talk about personal experiences. That I don't know. Maybe they might be talking about that in the lyrics as an inspiration. I don't know. I feel like they're talking about something else, but
we're not claiming anything here tonight on this episode. If anybody knows some insider information, we'd love to know.
Hey, we don't have the authority, and neither does Wikipedia.
Exactly. Yeah. It didn't come up in any of my research, so I would like to play another track off this to give our listeners something to vibe to and something for me to vibe to.
Yeah. I need something to vibe to as well.
That sounds good. We all want to vibe. But the one track that I'm super pumped about that I keep going back to is Tail Whip.
Yeah.
And then I think we have two on the playlist we have pulled up, but do the album 5 one.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's what I'm more familiar with.
Okay.
And it's just a good jam. They're doing more of the same, which, again, not in a bad way, in a great way.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's jammy, it's vibey.
Yeah.
It's melodies are great. It's super chill. I love it.
Here we go. Tail Whip.
Days would be the same in a different way.
That was a little bit of Pierre, that song that I was talking about earlier, which is about one of their friends. That's what the lyrics are about. Before that was your track of choice, Tail Whip, album 5?
Yes.
Is that what V means in Roman numerals?
That's what I'm guessing it means. And I tried to look it up, but I wasn't able to find anything about why. There's several tracks on Uncle Jazz.
Called Tail Whip. It's a Tail Whip Revisited.
Yeah, there's one called Revisited.
Yeah.
And then there's several another couple tracks that also have in parentheses album 5 or album V. And I'm not sure what the connection is exactly.
Yeah.
But I do know that some of the, like we were talking about, they released like 12 singles within a few years.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And some of those songs were reworked for Uncle Jazz.
Yeah.
It has something to do with that. I'm not exactly sure how it was organized. And I wasn't able to go through all of the singles and re-listen to the different releases.
Yeah. They're one of these groups that is... because we focus on albums mostly, right, on this show, going from like roots to grooves.
Exactly. The story, the narrative.
Which is, I feel like is a good thing, a good choice of ours as well, because like the albums are the pillars, and from everything we've been talking about on these shows of all of these artists, like there hasn't been one artist that hasn't looked at an album as like a body of work or a statement kind of thing. So, but like obviously the EPs and the singles are important, and there's many tracks out there from these artists we talk about, especially Men I Trust as well, that don't feature on these albums, that are sort of the fillers in between the albums kind of thing. But yeah, the albums are like really where they like all of these artists we've talked about, they all seem to like focus their attention on when they, going to create an album, getting into that mindset, going into the physical space of doing it, sort of thing, and then surrounding themselves with all of the gear and the instruments to create that sonic world kind of thing that they want to create, sort of thing.
Totally. I don't know what that says about us. I think we both gravitate to the same kind of thing. We like art pieces, a full album. Yeah. And like singles are great.
Yeah,
different tracks are great. That's how things get done and everything.
Yeah,
But I think it's so beautiful. It's the whole thing put together in one piece.
Yeah, I've been doing this like with the drop. Like I play brand new releases every week, and
that's some good stuff right there. Everybody check out the drop on signalradio.com.
And a lot of times I'm finding I'll over the few weeks of doing several shows, there will be several drops from different artists, or the same artist kind of thing, and then an album will come out, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't even know the album was coming, because I'm not really that looped into their release schedules and stuff like that.
That'd be a lot of extra work to know all of these particular artists' release dates.
It is a bit
based off the single that comes out that week.
Yeah, so but it's interesting, to hear those singles come out over a few weeks, and then to hear the album, and some of those singles are on the album and some aren't, but it's a whole new world, and it's kind of like it's like a nice surprise, because it's like I've liked these tracks, and now here they are, like with like a body of work that's like from that sonic realm kind of thing. So just to say about the album thing, like that's why I still think albums are good. I know like a lot of listeners out there just listen to individual tracks a lot of times, creating playlists.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, but when you find an artist you like, and that was actually one thing that Men I Trust said as well about their DIY indie approach to releasing music, sort of thing. Saying that they put their music everywhere. It's on every platform that you can find. A lot of times it's free. And they said, but they get really kind of excited when, someone will download, like, from Bandcamp kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they feel like, I think Dragos said this, like, he feels that, like, if someone's taken the time to actually download it, then they're a little bit more immersed in what they're making than the casual listener.
Totally.
And those are people that they want to create a relationship with, a fan artist relationship with, and be a little bit more personable towards, and it's definitely easier to ask somebody to, hey,
check my stuff out. Here's one track. Here's 3 minutes of audio, rather than, hey, take out 60 minutes of your day and listen to all of my stuff.
Yeah.
That it just really, it's just asking so much more. And that's the whole reason why singles are so prevalent and useful and fantastic. So you can get a little Costco sample. Give me some of that.
Well, that's the thing that's funny, because back in the day, or that's not that long ago, but like singles, in my mind, and I think probably in the industry, were like promos to buy the album kind of thing. There was sort of like marketing tent poles kind of thing for like, you know, we've got this 10-track album, but like here are 4 singles, and the purpose of those singles is because it used to be you'd have to spend $2 or $3 on a single on a CD kind of thing,
right?
And there'd be like a B-side maybe or something like that, which is cool. And then but you get the album, which is like $12 or however much it was back in the day. Sometimes it was like $17 or something crazy.
Yeah, even 20 maybe.
20, yeah. You know, but it was like, to get by the album. But like now, like the purpose of the single, I think is completely different. Now it's more like exposure, getting to know the artists. I mean, it's the same thing, but it's like, I think it's like less of a marketing thing and more of a get to know the artist.
Like shareability.
Like,
Like it's easier to share something smaller.
Yeah.
You know, just like the same way you see somebody on the street, like, hey, that was cool meeting you. That was fun. I met you at the bar.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to invest my whole life into your life right now just based off of that one interaction. But you can choose to do that, and it's up to you.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be friends with that person or with the rest of that artist's music.
Yeah.
If that analogy made any sense, I hope I painted a picture there. It makes sense in my head.
It makes sense to me because I met lots of crazy people in dive bars that want to be my friends and insert themselves into my life.
I bet.
Like, well,
hey, listen to my single.
Boundaries.
Hit me up on Insta. Boundaries. So yeah, we're talking about Men I Trust, Canadian 3-piece band, and we're talking about Uncle Jazz, their latest LP released in 2019. One of the other coolest things that I saw was that Tyler, the Creator, is making an appearance in this story, and he contacted them out of the blue on his own volition. I think that's the right word.
Said he's a big fan of them,
and he said he's a big fan, and he hit him up out of nowhere. DM. I don't know if it was on Instagram or if it was personal message or whatever it was.
There might be a collaboration happening.
I think they wanted one.
They said they talked about it, but I think Dragos said that Tyler's a really busy guy.
I mean,
probably gets hundreds of messages a day, sort of thing.
Right.
So, but you know, it might happen. I know Tyler likes to do a lot of collaborations. So,
yeah, totally. Happen, But and just off the face, it's a cool. When I was doing this research, I never would have thought Tyler, the Creator, would come up. It's always interesting to see when these random, disparate names come into contact with one another. And I wouldn't even say their music is super similar. Men I Trust and Tyler, the Creator. But it's cool to know that an artist like Tyler likes a band like this.
There is some funky overlaps a little bit. I mean, Tyler definitely is someone that has a kind of wide-ranging taste in music, I think.
For sure.
Which you can
I can't imagine. I don't know too much about him or his personal styles as far as music taste and everything. But yeah, I'm sure he's a big, indie rock fan. Obviously. Where he will reach out to them on his own. I just think that's super cool. So it's a little fun fact.
It's kind of like Courtney Love talking to Alexandra Savior.
I didn't know that would come up.
Yeah, that's what we talked about in the last episode, by the way. I mean, it's cool when a big artist reaches out to you like that. Like, I can't even imagine. Like,
I mean, what more, validity could you ask for?
Yeah, exactly.
And Tyler's on the biggest stage in the world. Very well known. In fact, I saw Tyler, the Creator, at the Northgate Mall.
Really?
Just north of Seattle here. And he was getting Subway.
Really?
Yeah, in the Northgate Mall with his buddy. I'm not sure who it was.
There you go.
But, there it is. Yeah.
I we were hanging outside the other studio, me, Shayhan, and someone else, and we were like, and those guys like recognized the person that was walking to us.
I think I was there. I think I was the other guy in this story.
It wasn't Tyler, but it was like someone he collaborates with that was playing a show over here at
Earl Sweatshirt.
Earl Sweatshirt, that's who it is. Yeah.
He was walking.
You were there?
I was the other guy.
You were the other
I was the guy in the background standing around, just like, I'm here.
I thought it was someone else.
There might have been somebody else too.
Yeah.
Ondu or somebody in the circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Earl Sweatshirt was playing a show at a few blocks down at the...
So he was just like walking with his crew down the street, and then Shayhan was like, "Are you Earl Sweatshirt?"
Mm-hmm. And I didn't know who... I thought they were random people.
Yeah, I didn't know who... I still couldn't recognize him if you showed me a picture. So.
Yeah. But it was cool. And Shayhan, when I was like, "Yo, what's up?" Shake my hand. Kept walking.
Yeah.
Cool little tidbit.
Exactly.
He was playing a show at... What's the... Showbox Soto.
Well, I think. Oh, was it there or was it Wamu? I'm not sure.
I
don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it was 2019 or maybe
something like that. Yeah.
18 or 19. Somebody look it up. He was in Seattle though. It was cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's all I got on those guys. But I mean, we're talking about Men I Trust tonight, and I mean, so Uncle Jazz people.
Yeah.
If you vibe with anything that we've listened to here tonight on Roots to Grooves, start with Uncle Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
It's dope. It's groovy. It's jazzy.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It's nice. It's chill.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. There's guitar, funky bass, cool rhythm.
Yeah.
But it's all very chill and very smooth.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it a lot. And I'm excited for these guys that I feel like they found their thing. They found their group.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, they got something coming out soon. Jessy said we are currently working on new songs, and it should not be long before we release them.
I'm pumped.
Because Emma said, Emma. I guess she goes by Emma. Actually,
I saw Emma.
Yeah. She said we missed touring a lot. We were kind of lucky though with the timing this year, aka 2020, COVID shutdown. They already wanted to take a break off of touring, and because they did it non-stop for 3 years.
Yeah, they were on hard
until like 2020, and they needed the time to rest, and they were just like, oh well, I guess the holidays are longer than they thought.
3 year long Christmas break.
But hopefully they're using that time to reset, and they seem like, because they need to tour a lot to make a living and to get the exposure out there kind of thing, but they also seem like a group that needs the time to really work on their music, and I hope that this is there. I think that I'm an optimistic person, and I like to think that there are positive things that have come out of the COVID lockdown situation.
100%.
Like one of those massively being for a lot of artists that they just hold up in studios and homes and making music, and without pressures or deadlines, because you can't do anything. But I think we're just going to see a flood of like amazing music that's going to be coming out in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because of the quarantine stuff. I mean, I'm optimistic, but I also think it's kind of reality from like hearing various artists talk about their situations in lockdown, including Men I Trust kind of thing. So I
mean, a lot of good stuff comes from adversity.
Yeah, that's true.
Things you have to move through, things that trials, tribulations, kind of thing, and that it's the human experience. I don't think there's anybody who's just had a positive, easy
life.
Yeah.
Day one,
everyone has different struggles, and it's crazy, and that's what makes it so beautiful. That's what makes the beautiful moments super beautiful, when you compare them about these 90% of kind of meh or blah blah blah, just another day, boring things, or some hard times, and it makes those sweet parts sweeter. So
cherish those moments,
right? So I'm looking at the same way as you, Jay. Hopefully I'm optimistic, and I'm looking forward to a lot of good music.
I think it's gonna be a given, really. I feel like from from all of those artists, big and small, or medium or whatever, that, you know, had nothing other to do than just be in their home studios for like a whole year.
Sometimes that's what you need.
I mean, these people might be like, well, actually, but I've also heard the opposite, unfortunately. So maybe this is not quite, this is the less optimistic side of the spectrum. But I've also heard people say that they've lost inspiration during lockdown, and they've found themselves not being able to create music.
Interesting.
During this time as well. So I think it's a balance. I think I think there are going to be a lot of artists that kind of came crashing down and like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then others that are just like super creative and have like 5 albums under their belt now ready to go or something like that. But, you know, that's the thing as well. Yeah. I know.
No, it's been the age of introverts.
Yeah,
you know, like us, like introverts, they're like, we've been telling everybody it's great to have downtime and to be isolated and to be able to think and to be able to have time and space to create.
Yeah.
Like that's so valuable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully it flips everything on the head, and, you know, extroverts are like, oh, introversion or isolation could be good, can be cool, could be introspective, time is good.
Yeah.
And then introverts are like, hopefully, I could use a little more people in my life. Yeah. A little more connection. Human experience.
I think this is totally off script, nothing to do with Men I Trust.
Right.
I think you're right. It's like, I think it's been a time of introspection and evaluation for everyone.
Yeah. Evaluation.
Like you're saying, like the extroverts are thinking about being introverted, and introverts are thinking about being extroverted, and, you know, and it's a time to reevaluate like what's important in your life. And I think, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I've always felt this for the last few years, is like my time is important. Like there isn't anything more important to me in this life than my time.
Right.
And I don't mean to say that selfishly. I mean, you know, could be spending time with friends.
Jay's time is more important than my time. Wow.
No, I mean, like, you know, my time, my ability to spend time with friends or family or whatever, loved ones kind of thing, you know, is like, you know, the time you spend on this earth and the things you do with your hours in the day are important. And a lot of people like miss sight of that in the hustle and bustle of usual everyday life. And the hustle and bustle is gone from everyday life. So that's what I'm kind of trying to get at, if any of this makes sense.
Totally.
It's like, you know, I feel like it can only, the optimistic in me again is coming out again.
Bring it out.
I feel like it can only be a good thing that millions of people have had this time of self-evaluation and time out.
Yeah, a little bit of a different perspective, hopefully.
Yeah.
And hopefully that rounds us all out.
Yeah.
In one way or another. Yeah. But I'm also looking at it positively, like you are, Jay.
Yeah, nice.
And, you know, it's good to remain positive and see the light through the dark.
Exactly.
That's all we're here to do.
Because we're still on this earth. We can only move forward. Well, you know, no point in getting upset about the whole thing. Let's see how we can move through it all.
Exactly.
Live to see another day.
I love it. Another Roots to Grooves episode.
Live to see another Roots. I don't know if I can make it, Jessy.
I can't. We're done.
We're done. Pull the lever. I feel like there's some movie sequence where it's like, if I could just reach I can't get it.
Pull it. I think of Emperor's New Groove, and I think it's Yzma or Phasma. Phasma.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's a Disney cartoon, came out a long time ago.
Okay.
Wasn't a huge hit. And she like pull the lever. And then they go down. Like to the depths of the castle or whatever it is.
I think it's a trope, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Cliche trope.
A story mechanism.
Storytelling mechanism.
Mechanism.
But back on track.
Yeah.
We're talking about Men I Trust.
Yeah.
Super cool, groovy, smooth band. Mm-hmm. Check them out. That's all I got on it, Jay.
Yeah, I think we talked all of it through.
Yeah.
The beginnings, the indie approach, still indie.
Yeah, DIY, completely independent.
Self-releasing all of their music.
Mm-hmm, no management. They're going on tour.
Yeah.
They're going by word of mouth, releasing their stuff on their own, and they're killing it.
Yeah.
And they've you can see the progression through their albums.
Yeah.
About what they're trying to create, and they're killing it, and they're doing it, and it's super awesome, and I'm excited about them. Men I Trust.
Yeah.
I check out Uncle Jazz. That's where I would start if anyone's listening or caring.
ONCLE.
Yeah, and you don't have to listen to the whole thing. Even put it on shuffle because it's a fat album.
Yeah.
It's 70 minutes, and if you don't want to go top to bottom, listen to it however you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the content's there, and the content is good.
Yeah.
And it's quality, and this is a quality group of people. So
absolutely,
I'm down for it.
So
I'm here for it.
Let's play out the track. I was gonna just play All Right.
Yeah, that's all right with me, Jay.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right.
All right. All right. All right. I'm Matthew McConaughey.
There you go. That's where that's from.
Hey, thank you everybody for listening. We were talking about Men I Trust. This is Roots to Grooves. Jay, give us that email real quick.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com. SIGNL radio.com.
Hit us up. Thank you guys.
We'll see you next time.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signal Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.